Call the meeting to order. Jesse, take the roll call, please.
Mayor Siciliano?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani?
Here.
Councilmember Achara?
Here.
Fisher?
Here.
All right. Full disclosure, all workshop meetings and council meetings are taped and archived, so we're being videotaped. Just want everybody to know that before you say something that your mom might get mad about. All right, they are recorded and then they're stored later and you can watch them on YouTube. All right, the notice of the open public meeting that has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on December 9th, 2021. All right, so today we have some D items. Dave, want to take it away?
Yeah, Mayor, I'd like to turn it over to our guests so they can do the presentation, and
All right, Jack.
then after that,
Maybe.
we'll move into Greg's.
You want to introduce your, who's with you, Jack?
Oh, no.
I'm Ross. I'm Jack's business partner on this venture. We've also known each other, I think, since we're about 2 years old. So.
No, at least 10 years now.
Yeah, about that.
Good stuff.
You know, he had the better diapers, so I was always trying to start.
No more Jack, George. We love Jack.
So I've come to know.
Yeah. Have you gotten copies of anything from Dave?
Yeah, that was a while ago. You didn't bring
Okay.
anything tonight to hand out?
I brought the laptop so we can throw it up on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, jeez, how long is that gonna take? Yeah.
I have no idea.
We just got to tie it in.
Take a minute, no?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Plug it
No, I
in.
mean, we could go over it like in basic form and then get the copies to you guys
Yeah,
afterwards.
Yeah,
so you can tie it into
that's
there.
Yeah. All right.
Just in case the laptop's ready to go, if we need to show them anything.
Plug in. Is there something to just plug in, or we
Yeah,
can?
I think
there's outlets all over, we put one right there too.
It was Norm Van Broecklyn, Marty,
Good.
1951.
I was born.
Well, there's gotta be a plug for it.
You know, we're a tech company, so we gotta do things the
Okay.
high-tech way.
I'm not mad at it.
Usually, it's like one of these two. I'm not sure which one.
Still rocking dial up over there.
Well, that's what we wanna fix.
Still rocking the dial up.
Mark, how much time you need?
5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Mayor, you wanna slide Mark in while they set up?
Yeah, you mind if we get these guys in while you're on a setup?
Yeah, go ahead, y'all keep
Okay.
setting up. Mark
I mean, I can
first.
fill the time.
Okay.
Here,
No, we
Jack,
got a lot for
Jack,
executive session.
you gotta do it from over here, throw it over. Oh, you got it.
So everybody, I'm Mark Wineski. I know some of you, but not everybody. I'm the president of the Deal Manor Estates HOA. We're a 29 home development right there off Fountain Road. And it's been brought up here at the council numerous times regarding our outstanding bond issues with the developer. And our neighborhood's been complete now for almost 4 years. There's no reason why our neighborhood should not be off bond. We've been advocating with most everybody in this room. I'm on my third township manager, and we get just enough work done every year where it's not done. I've advocated from day one that the HOA needs to be a partner with the township on some of these outstanding bond issues. Many of the things that are open are common property that belongs to the HOA, and that we have every right to make a decision on whether or not that work's complete. We sent numerous letters. Most of them go unanswered. We're still waiting on a response from you, Marty, from May 27th for another letter that's going unanswered. And we keep running up against a brick wall, and I really don't understand why we're here. You know, the last meeting we had on site, and I'll be perfectly honest, Mr. Arbus advocates more for the developer than he does for the 29 residents of Ocean Township. Something's not right here, folks.
Greg, do we have a list yet of the outstanding items?
Well, we've had a list running for at least 4 years, 4.5, 5 years.
Right, but an updated list of what's still outstanding at this point.
Yes, we updated, like Mr. Lineski says, every time they do a couple of things, and they did, I think, like 4 or 5 things over last week. So we did an updated punch list yesterday, which is takes those 4 or 5 things off the list.
What's
So-
left and what's the timeline to get it done though? What's a reasonable timeline? I think we're beyond it. It
It's
sounds like.
really
to
the
me.
problem is it's not really a work-related thing, it's that most of it's documentation related. And actually, the biggest problem we have is they have no documentation for the pond, the pumping system in there, what the set points are. It's been on the punch list since day one, and we also need somebody to show the homeowner association and us how it works and that it works, what the set points are. That's the biggest thing on the list, and it's very important that we know that, because if the pumps ever burn out, nobody's gonna know where the new set points are, or even what size pump to buy. Everything else is kind of a nuisance thing, you know, they don't have the aqua shields in the inlets. Is it a critical thing? No, but it's something they're supposed to do. Those are kind of the majority of the rest of the things on the list. They're all nuisance things that they should have done 4 years ago. And he just, as he said, he doesn't really push forward until we send him these, letters, and then he does 5 or 6 things.
One thing that jumps out at you as the engineer, it's gotta be frustrating to you that he doesn't have those set points and any of the paperwork to back it up to show how it functions, if it's gonna work, and if it fails, what do we do?
Right.
I mean, so based on that alone, isn't that something that, I mean, we're putting pressure on, but it's not going anywhere, it seems like.
Did we send the
Well,
letter?
let me time out. I'll tell you, this thing is so frustrating to me. Like he said, I got a letter on May 26, 2022, from their lawyer. And while I didn't respond to the attorney, I immediately contacted the developer. I had told the developer if he didn't contact Greg and get things done, then we were gonna take the next step. He contacted Greg, they went on site, they went through the site. Again, most of everything was documentation, okay? One issue was, we got an email somewhere, or a phone call, saying the wall was, what was the language? The wall was, the retaining wall was crumbling.
Yeah, crumbling.
The wall's not crumbling. There's an issue as to whether the wall is set right, and the developer believes it's set right, and they're supposed to provide a letter
From an engineer and the
from an
manufacturer.
engineer and manufacturer.
That's been out there for,
Okay. When we went to the site, when was that? When we walked the site and went through all the stuff?
That was months ago.
I know it was months ago.
it was in the-
From that moment
in the fall.
until approximately this letter, I thought everything was done. I hadn't heard from anybody until, I guess, Dave called me and said, you heard from the HOA. And I guess I had missed the meeting where the issue came up. That's when I was away.
Right.
But up until that point, and that meeting was 4 or 5 months before that, maybe longer.
Over the winter time, they would be doing, we
Right.
won't let them do concrete work. and-
But with all due respect, the HOA shouldn't have to be here advocating to get the work done. The work should, Chris, you were chairman of the planning council for one of the last meetings with the developer, and I do have a letter, I don't have it with me now because I didn't have time to get it together, where it's written in the letter that no more exceptions will be given to this developer anymore. And so you put the township puts the restrictions on the developer, but nobody from the township follows through to make sure that all the restrictions are complied with. I don't understand why the developer doesn't agree to do anything under the sun, because there's no follow-up here. And with all due respect, I think the list is a little bit bigger. There's a sidewalk and bound road that's supposed to be
That's on the list.
completed. Well, there's also a question whether or not the developer has the right to donate money to a special fund in the town. We believe that sidewalk belongs to the HOA, and we have to be partners in this. I shouldn't have to be finding this out third source. We had trees. We had over 150 trees that Mr. Jim Higgins identified had to be replaced. Somehow a meeting happened between Mr. Higgins and the developer. That list got whittled down to 90 trees. We have probably a good dozen trees that are dead now. So those have to be replaced. There's numerous concrete work that needs to be done. There's the retaining wall. There's a question whether it's within specs. This is a new wall being delivered to us. I don't think you, Mr. Arbus, would accept that as work done in your home, having a wall that's leaning.
Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't accept or reject, I wouldn't know. So I would rely upon the engineers, because I wouldn't know what's supposed to be there.
Aesthetically,
But in terms of the trees, okay?
you're the best advocate there is for Martelli Development.
No, I'm trying to be an
You
advocate
are.
for both and trying to be fair.
It's
And
not for
hold
both.
it, I'm trying to
You
be fair.
advocate for the residents. the
No, I
residents of this
advocate for
township.
both. And
What
the
do you
bottom
want?
line
With all
is,
due respect, what our attorney's hired to do is to keep us out of big trouble.
Right.
At times it's frustrating, and it seems like he may be leaning one way or the other.
Okay.
His job really is to be the mediator himself, say, where are we going with this, what has to be done, and then if he has to drop the hammer, it's not easy grabbing somebody's bond. Believe me, we went through this with BJ's for how many years? 5, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And even when we were grabbing a bond, we were told by the state, no, can't do that. There's more, it sounds easy, oh, just hold the bond up. When you go to do that, effectuate that, you get the boom. So that's why he's
But not only that, we're not
But I don't want you to
talking,
think he's not advocating for him. He's just trying to.
and the
make a
end
more
result is,
reasonable
I got
process.
this letter May 26th, okay? I forwarded this to the attorney that I was dealing with, the developer. I said, you need to, and I think I copied some of you on the letter. I said, you need to get this done now, you know, and then they had an immediate meeting, or when they could schedule it, with Greg. Jim Higgins is gonna be on the property with the developer to go over the trees on June 13th. Is that the date?
I think he comes back on the 13th, so.
Yeah, because Jim's away, so he's gonna be at the property with the developer to go over the trees. So, and all he had in his report, his last report, was all the trees that are there, everything's okay, there's one dead tree. Now, you've sent this letter, which indicates other dead trees, so that's the purpose of having a meeting on site to go over what's gonna happen with the trees. I'm not advocating for the developer, I wanna get the thing done the quickest, easiest way possible, and it's not by calling a bond in this case with what work is left here.
So can I
And
ask,
I understand that, and not to interrupt you, but this is where I'm asking help for the council. So there's a meeting on June 13th, this is first I'm hearing about.
Boy, he's coming back to 13.
Jim is coming back, he's gonna have a meeting on site with the developer. If you wanna have a representative there, have a representative there. We had that, the last time, we were all there. The developer, when all the issues were resolved. In terms of the sidewalk, I guess it's the sidewalk on Bound
It's a
Road,
decision for the mayor and council, which is on the agenda tonight.
but,
The discussion of whether they want to allow them to donate money to the sidewalk fund or not.
yeah, I mean, that's an issue in terms of where that money goes, I'm not sure, but the bottom line is that that's in discussion in terms of how much is gonna be donated for the sidewalk that nobody seems to want on Bound Road. If you wanted it, it's another thing, but no one seems to, everybody agrees, they don't want the signs, they don't want the sidewalk,
Is the sidewalk not there, Mark? Or-
It's not there,
but nobody wants it.
no, but the sidewalk becomes property of the HOA.
It doesn't connect to anything either
So-
on that side.
So it's a lost leader, just
Right.
because it's in our ordinance on the sidewalk.
But the sidewalk is on our roads or whatever, so I don't know. The interior sidewalks clearly, arguably would be
But it doesn't
HOA,
connect to
but
any
on
of
Bound Road, so
Doesn't
everybody
connect to
agreed,
anything. They connect
they
the
didn't
other
want
way.
it,
Hey, the
they were gonna
sidewalk-
pay an amount.
The majority of the sidewalk on the east side of the road is probably 90% of the sidewalk is connected.
Right.
On the west side of the road,
Yes.
it's probably 10%
Right.
sidewalks, they're very hodgepodge.
It would go nowhere, but it's still, the sidewalk belongs to the HOA.
No, the sidewalk on that would be in borough right.
That's the
town
borough right.
But does
That's
the
not the
HOA
HOA.
have to maintain it, or does the township have to?
Town would maintain it in our right.
Okay, that's not what we're being told. As a matter of fact, in
Well,
the
yeah, you have
master
to-
site plan,
you have
it
to
states that we have to do all the snow
Right.
removal for it, we have to do the repairs for it,
And you
and
have
we
to
also
pay-
have the scheduling to replace the sidewalk.
But if the town does a road program, and we would even come in and assess you to put that in. But it's just the sidewalk in the right of way is owned by the town but maintained by the property owner.
So there's a sidewalk, there's a leaning wall, which is,
so can I interrupt you for a
Yes,
second, Mark?
please.
So, do you guys both agree on the punch list?
no,
Have you seen the punch list we have?
yes.
Have you seen their punch list?
Yeah, we've actually added the last punch list I got from them, we added on the bottom of our punch list. So if you have more items, you have to send them to me.
It's not added on the bottom of your punch list. I believe your punch list says that there's open items that the HOA believes that are, we spent $10,000 on a transition report. The township is in possession.
Greg, can we
Second to last page, the transition inspection report from the homeowner association has several concerns, and we list them based on your page number. Those are from your guy, I didn't make any of those
But they're
up.
not being enforced though, are they?
They're on the list, they have to be enforced.
All right, so
He's
Rob
not
was
getting off until it's
asking,
done.
you guys agree what's on the list is what's outstanding?
Well, we got this from you, so if you have more things than belong on
Yeah,
your.
we
your
have
point of
that
view-
list, but a lot of the things that we have on the list, I mean, one of the issues is the batting behind one of the walls.
Well, the question mark on that one is that comprehensive, what you sent him? Because what I want to find out from Greg is, can we get this comprehensive punch list within 2 weeks so that we can get this thing cleared up, because this is getting ridiculous.
We would have to see the list. I haven't seen the latest list and what's been marked off.
Right, can we
And we'd
get
have
this
to-
comprehensive list so they can share it with the homeowners and,
And then Mark, somebody from you or your representatives just sign off on it, so we know that's final. Then Greg and them, and then they go over with Martelli.
even better?
Here's what we have to do.
Sign
And
off
Chris,
on
that's
it.
all we've asked for from the beginning, is
So-
that, to get this and before it's sent back.
But they
to
gotta
the
be
vote.
items that are germane to the approval. It can't be something, hey, you know what, I don't like the way, I don't know arbitrarily what, but you can't just throw something that's not.
No,
in the-
everything is German, and we use DC Engineering, which is a very reputable civil engineering firm. I think you know them. They went through.
I know them.
Yeah. Okay, they went through, and if there's somebody you think, if you don't like them, then we'll bring somebody else in, but nobody has.
No, but you have to realize, not to interrupt you, but you have to realize a lot of things on their list aren't germane to the performance bond. They have
Right.
things that are on-site grading and things related to the buildings, and that's why those things are not on our list, because they don't link to the punch list, and we've told everybody that.
We can't
When we
enforce
got-
that with
We
a
can't enforce
bond.
it, Right.
We gotta go after what
Right.
was in the final resolution and what the bonding was about.
Right.
And those are the items,
Bond
Mark, that we can
But why wouldn't
enforce.
they, when there's a easement over the entire neighborhood for drainage easements, which is part of the master site plan, which is part of the performance bond, so why wouldn't that be part of the bond?
It would be part of the bond.
So that you just said that drainage issues weren't part of the bond.
I didn't say drainage issue was part of the bond.
Maybe I misunderstood what you just said.
I just said things that were germane to the performance bond. can
You
only-
said something about grading on some,
No, I say individual lot grading
Individual
would not be
lot.
something that would be in the performance.
There's actually a blanket easement over the entire neighborhood that covers every single lot in the neighborhood. That's part of
But the
it.
individual grading plan for each individual lot was posted by the developer and under a different permit through the construction department.
Okay.
That's where that was all covered. And then the same thing when they added decks and they added pools, that releases the developer from doing that because all those lots were changed when they were
Right.
modified. Those are on their separate permits.
So we'll agree on the punch list, we'll get signed off on that. And then I believe we've instructed, I think, we said we were gonna pull the bond, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But since that's the threat.
No, you're not wrong on that. We
Okay,
did say
that's
that.
what I thought. So having said that,
But the
looks like
brakes
we're
are
gonna
on.
give it one more try. Can we get a deadline that we can all agree on, possibly right now, to say, once the list is agreed upon, the developer has X amount of time to get it done, and then we pull the bond? Can we do that today?
I'm definitely in favor of that.
2 weeks?
Well,
I'm throwing a number
so
out.
after we get the modified punch list, I would probably give them 30 days.
No, I was gonna say 30
There's one
days.
thing
30
for-
days.
to
Perfect
do-
example is if we put him on a time frame. I know right now he wanted to put these things, they're called aqua shields or environmental things that have to be put in the
You can't
drainage.
get them,
area.
they're back ordered.
They're back ordered, and we don't know when he's gonna get them. He's been chasing them for the last 2 months.
Now, I'll tell you why I know that. Robbie Silverstein wanted to order hundreds of them.
Mhm.
I mean, he wanted to have a big order for every apartment, 1,000 apartments.
Those are actually being, I think we're just missing a few of those.
He couldn't get them.
Yeah,
But you can get the punch list signed off on before this 30 days. I mean, that's
Right,
really.
no, I'm
we
saying
need
we
the
get-
list
we get
done.
close
Right.
and then it
Before
doesn't
we pull the
happen.
bond,
Yeah.
I mean.
No, we
the
need,
punch list
let's
we
get the list signed off.
You guys know one thing also, pulling the bond and not releasing the bond,
Yeah.
same thing to the developer. He's
Right.
not.
Yeah, he's
not
paying for the
he-
bonds
He's
every
gonna want his
year.
bond, and we're
He's
holding
paying
it
for it.
until all
Right.
this is done, whether
Yeah.
we pull it or hold
Right.
it.
And his cash,
Right, I think
He's
we
paying
need to
the premiums for that
have, we
bond
need to
every
have
year.
a sign off on this list.
so it's just, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, let's get the sign off on the list.
Send me your latest list and we'll go through and I'll send mine back.
And then,
to
Mark,
after
you
I-
guys, once you guys agree on it, then we can, like you said, we're not releasing the bond
No,
until
no,
the
no.
stuff is done.
I'm sorry, Marty.
When you're there, but if you could be there on the 13th when they do the landscaping?
Well, that's not when the meeting is, but that's what I was, you just said they were gonna meet on the 13th, but that's
Right.
when Higgins comes back. That's not the date of the
No, I
meeting.
thought he said me that was the day he could meet, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so having said that, sorry to interrupt, Marty. Can we agree that we'll get the list agreed upon by the 17th? That's
Hang on.
next
was there-
Friday?
Was there more before we go?
Well, I just wanted, Hal's on the board with me, that, we're given adequate notice. On the 13th, just a few days away. It's the first we even heard about that Higgins can be on.
I don't know that it is the 13th because Jim Higgins hasn't agreed to
I-
it, so.
Whatever the date is, nobody tells us.
Yeah,
We don't know
I
the
don't,
date.
I don't
It
know if
sounds
I
like we
get the
don't
same
have the
notice you do, believe me.
Well,
We don't
who
get a
guys,
notice.
Sounds like there
when you
wasn't
get
a
the
date.
date, are you gonna notice at least Dave, and Dave can shoot it out to these guys by email? Do you have their contact date?
I will try to
Oh, yeah,
get,
yeah, I'm in touch
Okay.
with Mark constantly.
Hey, we got a meeting
But
on
again,
site.
I have to get it too,
So-
to get it there.
So can
Hey,
we,
Dave, you've been great on this process, and thank you very much.
That's why I gave him that
Well,
task.
I'm clearly the bad guy, so I'll take it.
so can we agree that we'll have the meeting by the 17th and the punch list agreed upon by the 24th?
Punch list can be agreed to by the end of next week. That's not that
Well, we
difficult
want to
thing.
put Jim Higgins.
They want to be at the meet, they want to,
It's coming.
Providing we.
Okay, what is, just to make it clear, his last email to me is he will not be available till after June 13th.
Right.
I'm playing catch-up due to COVID, blah, 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 blah. I'll be back in the office on June 13th, and we'll,
so that gives them a week to schedule the meeting and a week to agree on the punch list. Is that good? And then 30 days from the 24th?
whatever you guys want.
Then if you want to
Pull the
proceed
bond.
with pulling the bond and go that route, like I said, he's not getting the money anyway till any.
So, Rob,
Is that
one of the
good?
problems we run into, especially when it comes to trees, and we kind of, we play.
When it comes to what? I didn't hear.
The trees, plantings. We play this game every year. It's, we're gonna have a meeting, we're gonna talk about it, and June rolls around, it's July's too hot, we can't plant
But I
trees.
gotta wait till November.
Yeah, then we gotta wait till November, we can't get trees, we're gonna do the first thing,
I-
we
that
promise
that's
we're
what
gonna
I
do
get
it
it.
first thing in the spring.
I think maybe that
And-
party might have to just relinquish.
Right, and
cut out
then we
some
play the whole
funds
game
for it.
over again.
Let it
It's
do
same
it.
thing with, when it comes to concrete work,
That's
it's
the way to
just,
go.
no.
All right, we'll talk about maybe, I don't know if we can do it, if we can cut out whatever we think is reasonable for the HOA to do the plantings. That way you have here,
Yeah.
release this much money to HOA, you guys get your plants, you put them
We're
in
not trying,
October.
we're not trying to be unreasonable, we just want the neighborhood built as promised.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't think there's anything
Nope.
wrong in asking that, and
Let me just, in
I'm
terms of
sure
the
these
trees.
gentlemen here,
Okay.
developers here, I hope whatever you're building, you do it as
Underground
promised.
wire.
Just to be clear, Jim wrote a report on November 11th of 2021, where he said he's met with the landscaper, spoke to several residents. The landscaping as installed is acceptable. There are some trees on, Douglas fir trees on Bound Road that are sparse. These were tagged to be removed last spring, but now begun to develop new growth, and basically saying those seem okay. I've looked at a dead tree trunk behind the residence of 9 Bentley. The tree stump is an immediate hazard and should be removed immediately. And that was the only thing in terms of the landscaping at that time.
That was
that he
after the
addressed.
trees were planted?
But before
That was
that,
after November 20th. That was November after.
Was that after they were planted?
Yes.
so Marty, when that list was generated, when we had the meeting with Jim, I believe it was back during the summertime, we came up with a list and that I could get the letter.
No, I know you had more
There
trees.
was
and he-
150 trees that Jim came up with on his own. That wasn't the HOA telling that to Jim.
Again, like I try to explain to you, I don't know much about trees, so I rely on Jim. And so Jim, whatever number he had, when he came back and said this is acceptable, for whatever reason, I don't know the answer, but that's what we.
He's done trees or shrubs?
Trees.
And
So,
when we were there, I mean, we pointed out whatever had to be pointed out, and that was done.
There's
far as I know.
2 trees that were planted in this past October around the pond,
Yeah.
didn't even make the spring, they're dead.
Well, and since November 21, your attorney wrote a letter and said some of the trees have died. So that's the purpose
Right.
of the meeting sometime after the 13th, when Jim is back, for him to go around and
I
say.
think we can
okay.
agree it's not gonna be on the 13th.
no,
Yeah.
and once the bond process is done, they will go on maintenance.
A maintenance bond.
And if the trees die again, that regardless, the
Oh,
trees
Mark,
have to be
Mark, what
replaced.
the mayor's saying is even though we're not necessarily pulling the bond right now, or we're gonna go to pull the
We're not
bond.
releasing it
We're not releasing
Okay,
it.
and I appreciate that.
And he's gonna pay for that bond every year.
Every year you pay a
until
premium
this-
for the bond.
Until this stuff is
And the
completed.
rates are going up and you're subject
Right,
to
and
that.
so he wants to get off the bond also, but the bottom line is that calling the bond and calling it, and again, I've been on this on both sides, I've represented developers, and calling the bond in because a document hasn't been delivered, the bond, what are we gonna do, you know, they're gonna do this, and okay, give them the document. It's a document, it's not
You're
the
gonna go
work
through that
that
with
has
the
to be
bonding
done.
company for a year.
Yeah, and the bonding company will say, you know, we're gonna review it, whatever, and that'll take 6 months.
Then they want arbitration.
Well,
They do, but.
What is-
and I can tell you, in all my cases, the bonding company's never paid a
Right.
dime.
Greg,
He's finished one other development, he's starting another development, he's getting premium rates. While,
what's Jim gonna add to this list other than the trees?
Nothing.
well,
He's
that
just
would be
gonna
his
give-
only job.
So we can get most of this punch list, you know, back
But
and forth before Jim even goes out there. I mean, really, Jim's gonna go out there and look at the trees.
But I would just, to finalize it all, though, I would.
He's
like
gonna
to
be the
have this
Lorax.
too. Yes.
Right.
At this point.
Greg doesn't want to double back.
And not, and I'll leave it with this, and Greg, you and I have talked about this, there's a lot of concrete, and I believe you said you want to wait till the end of the bond, or the maintenance
No,
period.
we
and
asked
have.
him to change it all. We didn't, but that period came and gone a year ago.
Okay, well, then there's numerous concrete work that has to be done.
Well, we gotta get into that too, because a lot of it was done by pool contractors.
Well, there's curbing that nowhere near,
Well, we'll look at it again, but I know a lot of it was related to pool contractors. We actually can pull
Yeah, we-
permit out and show you exactly where the access was.
I don't have a pool, and my driveway's cracked.
Well, driveway is another thing versus, your apron is cracked, your?
Yeah, apron.
Okay, well, we'll look at it.
So the apron, a lot of curbing,
'Cause he just replaced a couple aprons this past week.
he did one.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's.
And they did curbing also. I remember we
Some.
marked off certain curbs as well.
But the thing you have to realize, as time goes on, more and more of these things over the winters and plow hits him, he's still on the hook for any new damage. So it doesn't benefit him to drag it out.
But when you guys first came out to mark the curbing, say somebody came out, marked all the curbing in white paint. Months went by, half that faded out. They came, marked it again, only some of the stuff was marked. He disputed most of that, and he's done some of the workarounds, some of the storm drains, but where there's pools, cracked with pools, the homeowner has to replace it, there's no question about that. And we're not asking that, Martelli replace something that he didn't damage, but stuff that wasn't done right from the beginning, it has to be fixed.
Okay, just, again, this is from their attorney that I got on Thursday of last week. In follow-up to your most recent email, which was mine saying you gotta do all this stuff. I've been advised that the sidewalk apron storm shield issues are being worked on today and should be completed and remedied in the next couple of days. As to the outstanding administrative document, Mr. Daly, who's the guy that manages on the site, has forwarded 2 packets of documents copied to you and I, which he believes addresses and satisfies those outstanding documentary requirements, which Greg has. As to the letters attesting that the wall is properly installed, Mr. Daly is following up with that, and he should have that to the township in the very near future. I will continue to follow up with him on that. As to the remaining issue of landscaping, blah, 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 he will make himself available to meet with Mr. Higgins and an HO representative on site on June 13th, as indicated by Mr. Higgins' availability. Presumably, any of those issues can be discussed and appropriate remedial action resolved then. It is requested Mr. Higgins or the appropriate township employee resolve with the HORF the appropriate time, place to meet and advise Mr. Daly directly, or if there's any difficulty reaching him, they can call me to finalize arrangements.
So that's 4 days from now. We have never received any
No,
communications.
June 13th is the date that Jim Higgins is coming back from where he is. So it's going to be after that, but let's get, you can contact them and Jim and whatever and get a date.
And Dana, last time they were on property, Mr. Daly was verbally assaulting me from the street.
No,
It's just, it's unacceptable.
that is unacceptable. I mean, I wasn't there, but that wouldn't.
We got it all on tape,
I've had
so.
similar situations, that's all I'll say.
Well, and I've been there too, and it's just, we shouldn't have to put up with that.
It's difficult to do.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Glad you waited, Jeff?
Thanks.
We need to bad start with the good.
Okay, thanks for accepting my job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, thanks for your time.
No, thank you.
Mark, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Take care, guys.
How you doing?
Good. Hi.
I'm not that great.
How are you?
We're not gonna get it back, Jack, your time is up now.
Oh, man.
I'll come back next week.
We swing around.
You can, next Thursday, right?
It should be.
Has this been searched?
You want a light?
Get
one of the lights, Jeff. This will make it a little bit better. There you go, perfect.
I'll console Mark.
It's okay. Fine. I'm in the pocket of the developer.
Dave, you sent this around a while ago. Sorry.
Yes, so just go.
Yes, this looks familiar.
So this is our idea for,
We're thinking, everyone that has had an issue with their internet, slowing down, all this mobile work that people are doing from home. I know has been an issue a lot, especially, so our proposal is for a new fiber optic, network. We're gonna start in a corner of the town that's been tremendously underserved by the incumbent provider, which is Cablevision, Altice, what have you.
Is that where Jack lives?
It happens to be
Of
where
course.
Jack lives. That's how we found it.
Interesting.
Start there on your side.
I don't live there.
Yeah, we don't
I grew up in
have,
Wayside, but I'm not there anymore either.
we don't have fiber, but just to refresh your memory, because I think it's been a while since any of you saw this. More or less, what we're trying to do is give people a choice. Right now, a lot of people in certain areas of town really only have one option for internet. And even if that provider comes in and puts in fiber optics, they still only have one option. So that really just doesn't give them much of a choice. If the rates go up, they don't have somewhere to go, and they're just kind of held over a barrel, because the internet at this point is a utility. It's not really a luxury. It's necessary for modern life. People working from home, they're looking for jobs. They need it to get, to sustain their livelihoods.
It needs to be reliable. It has to work. It has to work all the time. Slowing down, having brownouts or service loss is become really unacceptable. So we really want to just be able to offer another option to the citizens of the town. Competition is always good in the marketplace, and we're proposing to be that competition.
10,000?
10,000 megabits, so it's 10
Holy
gigabits per
smoke.
second. So like your normal,
Yeah,
your
30.
standard's 30 megabits. So we're hoping to be almost 700 times that, which we can. Like it takes no new technology. What we're going to use is capable of that.
Well, out of the box, more or less, if we were to build this tomorrow, our network would be able to supply up to 40 gigs to each subscriber.
Well, let me ask you
Based
this
on
one.
how many subscribers?
If we had
It doesn't matter.
9,979 homes, users,
It's what?
9,900 homes here,
Yeah.
you would be able to do that? Those numbers don't diminish?
Absolutely.
So our current area that we're proposing is 1,700 homes.
15. 1356 subscribers,
Oh, that's good.
which includes homes and businesses.
We chopped it up a little bit.
So just because you said it, when you say it's scalable,
Right.
explain that to me.
Okay, so the capacity that is on our network
Right.
is determined by the back end that we purchase.
The uplinks to the data
The
center.
uplink to the data center that we purchased, that speed that
Right.
is almost infinite, and then the equipment that we mount on the actual.
Who you buying it from?
So I mean, it could be
Crown Castle?
Crown Castle is an option. What's it? Cogent is one of our suppliers now.
And they're in a colo here?
So no, we're co-located right now up in Newark.
At 165
At
Halsey.
165 Halsey. We've got a link that goes to Jack's house, and we're serving about 15 clients out of the house.
That's cool. I like that.
All right.
But having said
Code
that,
enforcement does not know.
so
Well, we do it wirelessly, so that's what we're doing right now. That for scale is not really practical.
so Crown is willing to,
So Crown Castle, we've talked to them, we've talked to Lightpath, we've talked to any number of different.
and they're all willing to dig and
So
put
we're
the,
gonna do the digging, we're gonna do all the work. That's what we're
So
proposing.
we're meeting them at a pole or a handful, wherever they're.
Will there be
wherever they're at.
franchise agreements with them through the municipality, or?
So
How does that work?
we're proposing to handle all the administrative end. We're gonna run it. We're just asking to do it and some help with the capital expense.
And
Because
then,
it's very,
Help with
is
help
it?
with grant funding.
yeah.
and then what about subscriber fees?
So that we're gonna handle the billing, we're gonna handle all of the customer
I
service.
think he's asking what we're going to charge.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think
So
he's
right
Are
asking
you the
now-
franchisor now? Is that what it
This
is?
this is our pilot network map, so you can see that this is the area of town that's underserved currently, and then we're going to run a line down here to the police station and town hall here.
Okay.
So you'll have access on day one. And as the network grows, it's going to expand to the rest of the township. And we have a map of that as well. Let me pull that up.
But Jack, I think what Chris is asking is,
So franchisee, so we're gonna handle the billing to the customer. Right now, we're targeting between $80 and $100 a month for the 1 gigabit service.
Right.
You know, but we're planning to be competitive with whatever is the, you know, local subscriber. We're not looking to take advantage of anyone out here.
and you have all the FCC approvals?
So that
Absolutely.
we've already done that, yeah. And it's actually not as complicated as you might think. The internet is really a deregulated world.
The only thing we have to submit to them are every 6 months they require a Form 477.
And what about the state of New Jersey? You're approved by them too? Because that could be worse than the FCC.
The only thing we need approval from the state is to become a CLEC if we want to co-locate in like Verizon's
Right.
COs
But we're
or
not
use their.
looking to do that.
So we are looking for CLEC approval. We're in that process right now, but that doesn't preclude us operating as an ISP. That's only really you only really need that for phone service.
But you have all the necessary business licenses.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, I don't know much about this, but what is Verizon or Cable or Optimum? Do they not care about you guys? Are you too small for them to deal with, or is it something that they're going to want to?
So the particular area where we are, so we're
They're
not.
not even there,
It's
right?
there's no regulatory, like, I guess, roadblocks to us competing with them, right? We can be a nuisance to their side. You know, the fact that whether they know about us or not, there's not much they can do to stop our work, because there isn't like they don't have an exclusivity agreement for internet, right? That's not regulated in that way. It's
They're
not
not like the old car business, Alma,
right.
back in the day when Ford wanted to get in and they blocked them because, we didn't like your car.
Well, let me ask a follow-up question on that. So I was under the impression, maybe I'm wrong and I'm looking at Marty, but I don't know if you would know. Don't they have a franchise agreement with us?
They have a
And-
franchise agreement for cable television. This is something completely
So
different.
it's only cable television?
Only cable television.
Okay.
So
Who's subsidizing that rate?
So this is not a subsidized rate.
the left.
One on the left is.
That's
Sorry.
the FCC has an affordable connectivity program. That's the federal government subsidized.
Well,
And that's something that we handle is like the reimbursement that would be.
That's for
Yes, whatever. I think
That's for
low, low income.
subscribers.
Okay.
It used to be called the
You
Wi-Fi
get
We're
program.
actually
We're getting one
gonna
every year.
see if we can get that subsidized rate to zero.
That's where I'm
So
going.
we would basically give them the
That's where I'm
service.
going.
I'm with Dave. This is definitely not in my wheelhouse, but what is the norm in a house now? Megabyte?
So I pay $65.99.
No. The norm of
Oh,
megabyte.
30 megabits per
What they're
second.
hanging.
30 meg. So we do a
So that's what,
50.
well, it
Depends.
depends where you are, but like the requirement for a broadband service to be called broadband.
Do you know what you have?
It's 100 megabits down and 25 megabits.
I don't know what I have either.
Yeah, I
So
think-
what's a good, like for a
So if
guy?
you want to stream Netflix reliably,
I
you need
can't
about
stand
100
the streaming.
You need
I gotta
about
be honest with
100
you.
megabits. Or do you
I
want to
need
go
what?
on YouTube about 100 megabits?
John, most
to stream one
homeowners
time.
are using 50, maybe they got the
I
upgrade.
think I
package,
did to 100.
75,
I think I did 100.
Right.
But
They even offer
I-
300.
no disrespect to you guys, I think this is great, but I absolutely could not stand streaming stuff because I just really want to turn on my cable TV. I want to watch my stations. My kids think I'm nuts. I just really,
Cablevision does.
I'm.
But it has nothing to
What
do
do
with
you pay
that.
for
Right,
cable?
Cablevision loves me because I called them back and I said, put it back on now. But the majority of people probably would like this. I'm just not in that majority.
It's just moving in that
So
direction.
for that reason,
You know, I mean,
I'm
that's.
out.
We were going to start the proposal with Good Morning Sharks.
Right.
So I have another question too. So Jack's been talking about this since the day I got involved in the council. Why are not other people seeing this opportunity all over the country, not just
They
here?
are.
They are.
You
Yeah.
just don't hear about it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
stays on. It's really small and
Dave, we're
localized.
not
I mean,
in the-
we're in
in the
contact
mountain,
with
man.
about 30 or 40 people all over the country who are doing exactly this. Like they're doing small,
It's
localized.
in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you
decent-
said, right? They have their own cable.
It's all over.
That's more of a
Does your
big-
brother
that's the
know
big
about
one.
that?
Right,
So that's,
right.
This thing?
That was
they already had an electric utility that decided to put in fiber optics for the whole county. So that's what they rolled it in because for them it was easy. They already had a utility.
So you have to, when you say you're going to dig, you guys actually have to put all the lines in.
correct.
right, and we're gonna be using trenchless.
So let's cut to the chase. What kind of money are you looking
Right.
from us roughly?
So what we're looking for is in the ballpark of like 2.5 million to complete the project. That
Pilot
means,
project.
yeah, just the pilot, just for this area, it comes to
Just
about
for the highlighted area that you
Yeah,
had on
it's
the.
about $15,000 per subscriber household.
1,500.
1,500, sorry.
Oh.
15,000 is what Verizon costs to do it.
Right.
So what we're asking is there's some sort of funding package to help us get started, and then we're gonna put. We've got this. If you look through the proposal, we're gonna pay back a % of our subscriber fee back to the township to basically pay off what would essentially be like a loan or a bond over the course of that contract.
Yeah.
And then what? Where's the profitability for the township after this?
So the profitability is there's going to be it'll be like a 10-year contract, and that's when get to that net zero point, and then after that would be a renegotiation that we would have. But the caveat is that currently there's federal funding specifically earmarked for broadband construction that you could fund this entire project entirely with that grant funding.
So how do we get that grant? I mean, have you gotten other funding sources other than, or is this the
We have
first?
some private funding. Our issue is being new. People are very hesitant. No one's really familiar with this kind of infrastructure project. It comes down to that like question.
Most of the private equity is familiar with real estate and, like sort of like retail business and stuff like that. They don't, like, this is kind of.
With all due respect, there's a lot of private equity in technology.
Right. So specifically in this internet infrastructure,
Right.
it is a very
They're not.
It's hard. They don't know where to go with it.
Sure.
So it's the other benefit of coming in and that you guys are providing us. But if you were to partner with us in this way, is that legitimacy that we would be able to then approach private equity. Like, hey, we've got the backing of the township. We're going to do this project. Why don't you want to come aboard and be along with us?
So the grants that you're talking about from the federal level, is that something like, for
So
example, as
we
a town would
can't
have to apply?
for them, The
Okay.
town has to apply for them through the state.
So
The
Dave,
town
can we
has-
look into that potentially? I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if there's
we
grant
need
funding
Dave and
available,
Greg.
I think one of the things we would have to look at, and we discussed this with these gentlemen, the grant money is available to a municipality or a government agency. I don't know the logistics of how you transfer that ownership back to these guys over a period of time. I don't think the federal government would appreciate us taking money for free and then turning it over to private equity.
so the township would in essence have to be a partner in this thing.
Well,
We
then-
have to be.
We have to be the owner of it,
It'd have to be
right?
like the 100%.
Right, it's, okay.
Because that's what the money's being
Set up
given to
housing
the
to
town.
so you're setting up.
So we'll put them on the board of directors? and-
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
utility.
exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, so we could look into it.
My biggest
But
fear
then
is
we
if
could
this
sell
thing
that
goes
up, I don't know,
sideways,
right?
then
Yeah.
is the town on the hook
Down
for
the
all
line.
these problems,
Well, so I did like what
Right.
kind of problems? Like examples.
Say you hit some crazy thing when you're digging. Say you guys decide, I'm gonna go take a
Well,
job
you don't
somewhere
see
else."
these guys out there with shovels.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
come on.
We've got pictures. We've already dug 2 trenches, and
guys
these
are
are
busy
the simple. We're not afraid of manual labor. This is just
This
is the dress
I don't
up
know,
for
for
the
some reason I can't see
They're gonna
it.
come after the town.
Quick,
Sure.
well, quick answer to that is, and I'm not referring to you, but indemnification and things hold harmless.
Yeah, no,
Well, that's on the hazardous side, but to your other point maybe, is what happens if nobody buys it and we've invested $2 million?
So that's why we like to fund the grant. So we do
That's what we're
address
looking for
that.
grant money for.
Yeah.
is for-
Just to that little protection, but I guess historically, in an environment like this, and the reason that we're approaching this area is where there isn't an incumbent fiber provider, the take rate's over 90%.
Where there is or is not?
It's not. And
Take
currently
rates.
in this area, there's nobody providing this speed or anything even close to approaching it.
Are those numbers for just that area, or that's for the
Yeah.
township wide?
So
that you're
that's
showing?
just for that area.
So for that area right now, that's what we're
Estimated monthly
targeting.
revenue for internet access to the township. It's 207.
Yeah, that's just for that area. That's not for.
So part of this deal is you would get free internet service to all township facilities in perpetuity that we pass by with our network. So
Plus, so the 207 is not just paying back the 2 million, that's our share.
at your share in year number 3, there's a whole schedule of payments.
You said 10 years is the payback of the 2 million, or the 2.5
Yes.
million?
Yes.
So it's kind of a sliding scale. So in year 3, you're getting 70% of our profit. And then in year 4, it goes down to 65, and then
But if you
kinda
do the
decreases
grants, you're
every
in a
year
way different
as the
ballgame.
network grows.
You're not even involved here.
And then year 11, what happens?
Year 11,
we're
we're
paid
renegotiating the
back.
we're
Yeah, but
paid
what's-
back on the bond, we renegotiate, and then, you know,
All right, I
We
mean,
don't get any
here's the
more
thing,
money.
if we do anything in the town, it's revenue based. That's why we have a franchise fee with Cablevision and
Right.
everybody. So it wouldn't be just paying us back, we want to be paid back plus a revenue share.
right, and that's
In
kind of,
perpetuity.
this is the, like, the first step, right? You know, you guys would still have a share, there would still, we could put in like an exclusivity agreement where we have to come back and renegotiate. We're not looking to cut anybody out, we're not looking to get rich off the public dime, right? This is more of a question of like, there's a problem, this is our solution of solving it, and this is our best way of, you know, because I mean, I don't think the town wants to own the network in perpetuity either, with all the
No,
associated.
we just want the
They don't want the
revenue.
headache of
Yeah, there- I
managing it and all that.
Right.
The revenue.
No, but
we
that's,
can- we
I
can
mean,
talk-
there's
we
nothing
can-
wrong with saying it, that's the truth.
I mean, we can, you know, go for 15 years and then renegotiate what that franchise fee would be after that time. This is the percentage-based, you know, rolling scale is the best way to pay back that money so that, you know.
Understood, no, I know where you're going with it, just want.
Well, yeah, well,
See,
it's
there's
not,
more to it
nothing
for the
opposed
town.
to that. We're
So,
not-
is the reason you want to get involved with the township, you need the grant money from,
We need the large scale funding, right? Like it's a public utility project, right? And historically, getting private funding for public utility projects is not that practicable in the United States. Like if we were in Switzerland, you know, get this Bank of Switzerland to come and they would fund it for us. But we're in the United States and no private equity wants to go into public utility,
Well, at least not on a very
not on a
small-
construction scale or not on a small scale. So like we're only, you know, it can be paid back. The numbers are like historically accurate. We haven't made anything up or made any jumps.
could you do this project without township getting involved? I mean, could you just do this project if you had equity money? You could,
Yeah, if we
Yeah,
had the
so-
money, we could do the project. It's the problem is getting the money, and the problem is having that legitimacy. You know, we want to do it as a township project because it's something that we think would be beneficial to the township to have as this, like the municipal fiber network is something that this will be the first one in the state of New Jersey. It's a good selling point for the township as far as like high tech, you know, the business development. Like you had, Jack had, or someone had mentioned Chattanooga, Tennessee. So Chattanooga, Tennessee got an Amazon Web cloud hosting service based on the fact that they had municipal Wi-Fi. Like they had municipal fiber. They literally, Amazon found them because they had this inexpensive option for fiber optic internet. Like
So,
it,
I know it's that you put the number out there, 2 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a smaller number that you can start with and then also get funding from others that would kind of be the catalyst that we're supporting
I mean,
this, but
so
you're not?
so 2.5 million is the cost of the entire project. Some money is better than no money at all, right? But this
I'd
proposal.
say if you're looking for a minimum to get started, it's probably around 400,000 to 500,000.
And what would that cover? How many homes, roughly?
That would probably be
What are the 1,350 subscribers?
Maybe
No, that's the
300.
total.
400. So the first couple are more expensive as we go on.
So
Just
you
like
could
your
do,
startup costs.
you could
Just
do,
the members of council.
right.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's.
It'll never get out to us.
We've got an entirely separate proposal for that. We didn't want to do it in an open meeting.
He's got a shot again.
Down the street
He
from here.
probably
I
does.
guess one of the questions,
He might.
having
Down the street from here.
no understanding as to the computers
Just
and
take
all
a-
the stuff we're talking about here, 5 years down the road, is this still gonna be the
This-
modern system, or is it all
absolutely-
gonna change?
No, it's
No.
5 years down the road,
10 years.
100 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 1,500. You know,
I mean,
unless we get alien technology
We
that
don't.
comes in and revitalizes the way that we
I
communicate.
think it's coming.
This is going to be the way that internet is
But
given out.
fiber,
Fiber
everyone's,
optics.
there's a reason everyone's going to fiber optics is
Because
because
everything's going to internet.
everything's going online, And fiber optics is the best way that we know of to communicate between two points.
At this point.
At this point.
Right. I mean,
And it's been that way for the last 30 or 40 years.
like Elon Musk has got the Starlink program that gets a lot of news. He can't get close to our minimum speed, even with what he has. Even with a network of 30,000 satellites floating through space. He's never going to get close to this.
It's just physics.
Yeah.
I wasn't good at physics.
Yeah, the fiber optic, it's a glass tube, you shoot a laser down it, it moves at the speed of light, and we haven't exceeded that yet.
Physics for the humanities major.
It's a good class.
So what's the next step?
That's my favorite.
So the next step is, submitting this proposal to the town, and then you guys reviewing it and letting us know what you want us to do with it.
Gentleman in the back has a question.
Yes, sir.
Question, please?
Oh, absolutely. These are my people.
So, you said that you're gonna offer internet service to all the township facilities.
That includes first aid squad, firehouse.
That's fine. The question I have is reliability.
Reliability as far as the township.
What do you guarantee for reliability for our?
Oh, reliability, 99.99%. Unless
90,
someone,
so that's only 4 nines?
So there's still
As
a
many
chance.
as you want.
Still a chance.
Well, hold on.
as long as
hold
no
on.
one cuts the
Dumb
transatlantic
and dumber.
cable,
Let's
we're
see
going to
what we got.
guarantee the reliability.
Well, guarantee,
Where do you maintain your support?
Where's your hub?
What's our, like,
Do you have a
our,
knock
His house.
somewhere, or?
Jack's
This is
house.
mine.
It's the hub.
Not my house. No,
Oh, wait,
we
you're
have
just
we have a prospective building, should this project move forward, in West Long Branch that we would build our operations center out of.
but back to his
Do
question.
you have to dig a line all the way there?
No. We could,
so what do you
basically,
rely, like,
it
how
would
are we
basically
managing
have
it? Is that
a,
what you're
No, how many,
that goes from
what's
there
the
to-
uptime? How many nines?
Yeah,
Internet.
exactly, because the town, as life goes on, as you all know, everything goes to the internet. Police are totally dedicated to the internet. OEM, my department is totally into OEM. Fire, first aid, everybody's connected to the cloud. During an emergency, I want to know if I'm going to get my internet.
So I was working as a EMT during Hurricane Sandy. Do you remember when we lost internet? We couldn't.
I remember it very well because I was stuck in that room over there.
Yeah, and I was stuck down in Neptune. And so we're proposing a fully underground network to avoid a lot of the pole. We could do
issues
this
with-
at like a third of the price if we did it all aerial development.
So on each of your poles.
We're not going to have poles. We're going to be in the ground.
Underground.
In the ground. So you have repeaters here and there.
So,
or-
No,
so the
it's
way that
all-
fiber optics
it's all
work,
passive, so
it's all passive. It's a passive signal that starts at one end and goes to the other.
I-
As long as no one cuts it.
My engineering degree tells me that.
Oh, I know. Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We can talk differently. So,
Should add June on the meetings, Tom.
So,
So
no one
back,
cuts it. It's gonna be up. There's no.
We're gonna.
We've got.
Yeah, I
So-
just,
and the-
wanted to ask the question.
and the lines going to the township wouldn't run through any passive optical network. It would be a point-to-point active Ethernet link. So it would be basically a dedicated connection back to our hub.
Home run back to your.
And then to the individual users, no drop, overhead drop, it's all.
It's all
It's all
underground.
underground.
Well, it's going to be in like pedestals that are going to be located
Handholds.
or handholds. Sorry. Right, no.
So there's nothing above grade that you're going to see. It's all going to be in. There's going to be like a
Trunk lines come down the road and then they can tap off each person.
something like that.
You get a, one of those sprinkler slicers and you slice to their,
Like a
House.
vibratory plow.
yeah.
So what's going to happen when some guy goes to dig something and he hits your line?
So we want to be deeper than most people are going to
That's
dig.
so-
So our plan is to go 4 to 5 feet under, below grade. Most utilities are at 3 feet, so they're probably gonna hit the gas meter before they hit us.
We won't know it. We won't know if they hit the internet.
And then our wires are armored, so they can take a pretty good beating.
Oh, and they're also gonna be in conduit,
Yeah.
so, the conduit might get sliced before the
Like
cable does.
there's a viral video of a piece of fiber laying across the road, and this guy drives into it and takes the roof off the car. Nothing happened to the fiber.
You I like that. He gets decapitated.
No, he's okay. It was just the roof of the car.
Kid.
Like,
But it's a pretty reliable and like strong system.
We're gonna kind of truncate this meeting right now. It's interesting, and a lot more to go over. And we might have to invite you back another time for another review, but good stuff. We'll have Dave will get this out to us
Yeah.
all. We'll look at it more. Not to cut you off right there, but we
Do you
have
have
to.
any
We got
more
other
questions
business.
before we?
Just real fast, that's
Yeah.
anything popping in
Yeah,
anybody's
anybody
mind?
else have any other questions about it?
And if you want to see the presentation for all the council members, we can do that in the closed meeting if you
And
want.
for the record, in phase one, we're passing by Rob's house.
Oh,
Tom was just saying it. I saw it on the
You got one vote.
There goes my real estate values, huh? It's gonna skyrocket now.
all right. Good stuff, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know if we covered like just one little quick thing with time frame for deployment.
Yeah.
Probably like 6 to 11 months once we get started
Okay.
to be
Okay.
complete with this entire
Yeah,
project.
So this is
There
the
he is.
full town if we were to do it.
Oh, okay.
You want to see them?
Oh, wow.
Oh, and we got meals.
Yeah.
Okay, have to go
That's
now.
a nice
Please.
future revenue.
Still got the engineering report.
Yeah, we got engineering report and we got closed session stuff.
Nice check.
Lots of closed session. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
you
you.
guys. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
You know, feel free to reach out to us if you have any personal questions. You know, it's Ross or Jack at nomad-air.com.
Okay.
.com.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank
Jack,
you.
if you would be so kind as to have your laptop forget this network, please.
Hack into the.
Dave, you have anything else? Or we going to
No, we
close?
want engineering report and then we go into
Gonna,
closed.
No, I understand. You may not be able to wait a second.
No.
I'm bringing you in on the meeting, Tom.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Greg.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
First item is the speed bumps. We got one quote in for $39,000 to put the 33 speed bumps in, which is astronomical.
39 for 3?
Wow.
39 for three.
Crazy.
For a speed bump?
That's inflation or
That's the same
what?
guy that's gonna do the renovation at the
Where we at?
1515 Logan.
Yeah,
Crazy.
pretty much.
It's
It's
everywhere.
just, it's just, I think people do, we just,
Unrelated
people don't want to do it.
question. That solar
Really?
ordinance that's on for tonight,
Yeah.
was that the same one that was?
Yes,
All right,
it was
okay.
introduced last meeting.
Yeah, but isn't that the one that we said was no good?
That's the one we're taking straight from Sustainable Jersey.
That's the
Is
one
it?
we're
Yeah.
updating.
Okay.
Yeah, we took verbatim.
All right, Greg,
Okay.
so what else?
It's the one you want.
So I recommend, I'm gonna have to try to find another way to do these things with other people.
Yeah.
Because we can't afford that.
So that's them buying them and them installing them and them,
Installing them, so.
who takes them out? And then-
Well, we would have to take them out. But what I'm gonna do, and I know Mark DeSakes, he's out right now, but when he comes back, I'm gonna ask him to see if he has the possibility of
To do
manpower
it.
to put these
Yeah,
in.
we can buy 'em
And
or-
we'll buy them and
Put them in and take them out.
Yeah, because they weren't anywhere near that expensive.
Shouldn't
How
be.
much is just the speed
I
bump?
mean, what's Asbury do? They got a bunch of them.
Yeah.
They probably bought them before.
What is the cost of
supply
just the
chain,
speed bump?
I
pandemic.
think they're 4,000 each.
Okay.
Buy it.
So our, yeah, I mean, our guys should be able to drill them in, right?
It's an effort to put them in because
Is it?
they're 24 feet wide and
Yeah, they're
there's
heavy.
a lot of bolts and you have to drill, but it takes a little time, but it's not something we can't do. It's just whether he has the manpower to pull away from whatever else they were doing.
Right.
But I'll have to talk to him when he comes back.
All right.
I think that would be our best option. Okay, next thing, Joe Pillay Park.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
The walking trail, this is the piece on the north side that parallels Dow Avenue. We got a meeting next Monday with Ricky to confirm we have funding to do that.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that probably the end of summer, once he confirms we have that. Third on the list is sediment testing. The testing is done. The results will probably be in next week. You can see they're about 3.5 weeks and it's been about 3. So those results are due in next week, so I'll be able to go over those with you next council meeting.
Quick question regarding the other one that you knew that was elevated.
Mhm.
What's the plan with that? Are you happy to mix, like, the next steps for the one that was?
Yeah, we're gonna mix,
Okay.
because those weren't too bad, they were not even double over the standard, I think we were
Okay.
at 8 or 9 milligrams per million, the standard is 5,
Okay,
so it's just about a 50-50 mix,
okay.
but I'm hoping he's coming lower, because otherwise we're gonna have a mountain of dirt.
Great, right. So the issue is the amount of dirt versus the, is it cost? Do you have to pay for money to pay for the
Well, no.
mix, or is it?
No, the problem we have is that the way this was first brought up was that we had 3 options. One, we were gonna excavate it. The option was to add a decontaminator to it, and it doubled our amount of disposal and put that in a landfill, because that's kind of like a baby diaper. It makes a gel out of it, and then you have to get rid of the landfill. That was $2 million. Then the next one was to, hopefully it was under, and then we can just put it straight out to the golf course. If it isn't under, we have to mix. We have a pretty good substantial pile of topsoil out at the Cindy Lane site that we will mix with this. So it's just a 1-to-1.
Okay,
So it really comes down to how much we have to make sure we have enough dirt out there, test that to see what
got it, okay.
the arsenic level is in that, and then we'll know how much we need.
And then you'd still deposit it at the golf course? It
We're
wouldn't
still
make a
gonna, yeah,
difference?
regardless, we're gonna put it at the golf course
Regardless,
once we
okay.
mix it and get the levels down.
When you find out the levels, can you send me an email?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, I'll send you the summary sheet of all the tests.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're really great about it when it's over, you know, they come in a big bold letter.
Okay.
Those are easy to see.
Certificate.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is another one at Joe Clay Park. The drainage was completed by the Public Works Facilities.
Right.
That came out very nice. The rains we just had, it handled it perfectly. The only thing we will have to do, it has to be monitored because it's an infiltration type system. It's a rock trail. It's actually a cutoff trench. It takes all the groundwater and drains it into an inlet. We're just gonna have to maintain the surface of that to make sure leaves don't cover it. So I'll go over that with Public Works. It's something we're gonna have to do every fall, just to keep the leaves from clogging it. It won't clog the system, but it will clog the inlet. So it's just a matter of cleaning that one inlet out to make sure it works.
I got at least 15 text messages and 30 emails about it.
We're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's working pretty good.
Thank you,
It works pretty good, yeah. It was a good idea you had.
Brilliant, thank you.
Place it back.
Okay, next one was the crosswalk on Whale Pond. The ramps are in. We just haven't paint striped the road yet, and we have to do a little mending on the fence. Also, what I'm gonna do is part of that, we talked about putting that sidewalk in from there to the south past that guardrail towards Deal Road. That's not gonna necessarily meet the 4-foot standard, but we're gonna put it in there just so people won't be walking in the street. And then one day when we get into that guardrail, we'll figure out how we make that 4 feet wide.
Are you talking going from Shadowlawn to Elizabeth?
Now, from Shadow Lawn down all the way to Deal.
Oh, that way. Right.
Yeah, because they can't get past that
That little
crosswalk.
guardrail
The
there.
guardrail there, it's just, the guardrail is kind of put in the
But
middle of
that-
the 6 feet that exists.
Just keep in mind that Elizabeth Street neighborhood, they use that synagogue there.
Yeah, that's kind of why we wanted to put them to keep them off the street.
I'm just saying, if you do, we get a little sidewalk on those three properties.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, we got the Deal Road sidewalk project. This is taking sidewalk from pretty much Poplar roadside all the way out to Bound. And the first step of that was to get the crossings across the Route 18 exit ramp and on-ramp. We have applied, we talked to the DOT, they said send us an application. That just got submitted a couple days ago. So that's in, we'll be hearing back from them probably in a couple months. And
That's gonna be on the
northbound side.
northbound side.
North
okay.
side of.
Yeah, there's
Deal
some
Road.
sidewalks there, but they stop after that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, the only
and there's
problem-
heavy foot traffic on a Saturday now.
Yeah, the only problem we're gonna have is that once we get this crossing is it's gonna be a little bit costly to go through from the 2 ramps, the on-ramp and then the off-ramp. The slope into that center island's pretty steep, so we're gonna have to probably build a retaining wall. Then when we get to the private property on the west side of the exit ramp, that drops off pretty bad, so we're gonna have to build a retaining wall in there to get a sidewalk.
That's private property there as you get off that?
As you get off to the right-hand side, there's a piece of private property there,
Well, the acreage is owned by them, though.
by the synagogue.
On the-
No, by the school.
By school, okay. So that's, well, I mean, I don't think, it probably won't, it's in our right of way, but the problem we're gonna have, the cost of putting a sidewalk there is gonna be rather expensive.
They had
because it's
50 acres and then 18 bifurcated it.
Mhm. And that's,
And the campus had 23 and then.
So really, the only hazard is them crossing across the street, I mean, crossing,
Crossing that road.
yeah, that's really it. And going up and down that road every day, Dave, you know it, I mean, it's, there's definitely heavier foot traffic on a Friday and a Saturday now.
Well, the biggest concern I have is not the exit ramp coming off of 18 from the
Right.
north coming.
It's
west.
going on.
It's going on because the guy that's gonna go and he's slowing down to get that back of traffic, people turning on. all
They go around it.
They go around and they
Yeah.
go down that ramp, and if somebody's going across that, they aren't gonna see them until they get around.
Yeah.
So is there anything we can do
Well.
to
how much-
potentially slow that up?
That's what I wanna see if the DOT comes up with.
Yeah, I think we have to really look at that. That's it's pretty significant.
Yeah, well, what we have to do, we probably have to paint stripe that and maybe even put the pylons, would be my suggestion, like we did on Deal Road, so people aren't cutting over the center line there. We would do this so they don't cut wide to go around a guy that's turning left.
Right, right.
That would be the way to solve that problem.
Okay,
The other thing we talked about is they can, the people live in Carberry, Hart, and Hartshorn, all that, they can at least ride their bikes to school, walk to school. If we can complete that, that'd be.
Well, that we're gonna go, Safe Street sidewalk, we're gonna start there and go west.
Yeah.
But this is just the connection point, so we can get it from Poplar over to
The Christmas present from
It'll
Little
work. And we're gonna dovetail that in with, with one of the other things in here with the improvement to the, we talked last time about the improvement to the intersection of Bound and Deal. We're gonna get to that, and all that sidewalk's gonna be kind of tied in with that
Yeah.
coming up from.
It's a hodgepodge over there.
And that was the next one. So that, the Deal with Bound intersection will be part of that sidewalk project. The next item is the 2020 road program. One of the roads we're almost done with it. We have 3 loads left to do. Right now, we're on Seward. We have West Morgan, the concrete work is done. We have to pave it. All the utilities were put in by that developer there, so he got out of our way. We kind of helped push that along. But the only other thing is Ampere. One of the things we're going to do with the road program, I'm going to pull the paving out of the program because we have the fuel adjustment is running about $80,000 right now for the overage from when we bid this to now, because gas has doubled since we bid this project. So the paving on the project is $116,000. So if we pull that out, we'll have some left over for doing some of the other things, maybe little sidewalk pieces. But right now, we don't have the money to pay for that overage. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull the paving out of that, and then I'm gonna put the paving in the 21 program, which was bids were received. And we haven't awarded yet, I gotta get confirmation from Ricky for the money, and we'll probably award that next meeting. But what I'm gonna do with that program is add Ampere, but I'm gonna delete Turner. Turner it's a hot item over there. There's a lot of people waiting to get that done, but the sewer authority is gonna put all the sewer laterals in that road. So instead of letting our money sit there for a year waiting to do that, I wanna use it to pave Ampere, and then we'll push the Turner into the 22 program, which we're gonna start working on relatively soon, now that the budget's approved. So I think everything is just, they're gonna wait a year to get Turner done, but we're gonna wait that anyway until the sewer authority's done, so I'd wanna use our money instead of leaving it stagnant for a year.
Greg, is there some sort of sewer plan that they have with what they're updating, upgrading?
No, they just seem, every time we come up with a road program, they put it in front of us.
Shouldn't we be
The list is out
coordinating?
after.
Shouldn't we be coordinating with them?
Well, I do. I give them all of our roads and say, this is my next 5 years of roads, and that's what, and they've been keeping ahead of us ever since Colonial Terrace. They've been keeping ahead of us. This one, I don't know why. They've had this on their books to do for a year and a half, and they just don't seem to want to start it. I keep calling over, but it's kind of like, the last time I called was about 2 weeks ago, saying, when are you starting the program? Well, just give us a heads up when you're going to start, and we'll get it done before you. It's like, but I'm starting in about 2 or 3 weeks. So, and I understand that the executive director, that the woman just resigned.
Yeah.
So I guess Bill is back, or, I know Bill fairly well, so I'll call him again and say, listen, I really need you to jump on this so I can get this done next year. Because putting it off another year would be crazy. So that should all be worked out, but I think moving that out gives us the availability with some funding so we don't get caught short with because of the fuel upage charge. All right, so just so you know, in case anybody, you might be hearing from Turner, because I've talked to a lot of people on Turner, like probably 6 or 7 of them last year, and told them it was in this year's road program. So they might be upset. They're going to be upset with me, but you might be hearing some kickback on that. But I think the same thing I'm telling them, I have to wait till the sewer authority's done, and it'll get done as soon as they're done. So they won't be noticed when we do our assessment letters. I'm going to leave them out of that. Already talked about the 21, that's what we just talked about. The next one is the bike lanes. Talked to the county. County has approved the lowering of the speed limit from Deal Road down to Interlaken. They're going to pass a resolution. Once they pass the resolution, they'll send it to us for our concurrence. And then once that's done, then we can paint the stripes of the bike lanes. Part of this is there's money out there right now for funding of bike lanes, so we're going to apply for that as long as we have it. And what our plan always was with this phase was we're going to put bike lanes down Monmouth, Corley's, and Wickapeco. I forget what I think Wickapeco. So
What's the speed limit going to be?
We can tie in the sunset route.
Yeah, it's okay. So we'll come down Wickapeco from Sunset to Corley's. Corley's can get over to Monmouth, and then Monmouth we're going to take up the park. I talked to Long Branch a couple of years ago, and they were kind of in favor of putting their bike lane on parks so we can get over Ocean Avenue, but all the administration has changed there. But I got a guy that's pretty familiar with some people in Long Branch now, so maybe I'll work that out. Okay, next thing was 12 Carver, that's where we did the drainage improvement of that head wall. The residents have come back, and rightfully so, with the vegetation that we put, there's very steep slopes on the discharge area of this pipe. It's probably about 8 feet deep, vertical walls. So what we tried to do in there didn't work. It's just, they're very tough to get vegetation to grow this time of year. We told them that we can't go put vegetation or re-sculpt the ditch because it's off our property. So we're gonna have to go to that property owner to get permission for them to get an easement. And we told them in the meantime, we're still gonna put the fence up so people don't walk off the top of the head wall. But the restoration, or further restoration of the ditch is gonna take a while because we have to get the easement. So that, they kind of understand that, but you might be hearing, there's only 2 neighbors there that are kind of in my ear about a little bit, and they're understanding, but they want the fence and all the vegetation put in, but we can't do the vegetating until I change the angle of that ditch. Okay, the next one, Roselle sidewalks. We met a couple weeks ago. Dave and I went out and met with the residents out there. They want us to put sidewalk from Logan to Monmouth. And the problem we had, Mayor and I met with them about 2 years ago, maybe 3, and we told them to put the sidewalk from Wickapeco east to Monmouth was, just cost prohibitive. It was gonna be several $millions then, because, and not to mention all the trees that would have to come down on that first piece of property there on, I guess it's the southeast corner of the old Scout Estate. Right, there's probably 24 trees that are just pristine trees that have to come down. Not to mention the retaining wall they have to build, the pedestrian bridge over the creek bed, and then another retaining wall coming up around the golf course's property all the way, probably 3/4 of the way out to Monmouth Road.
Then the golf course has trees now.
Right.
Deal.
And they're replanting because of the people.
And they're less than 3 feet from the street.
Yeah.
I don't know how you,
Yeah, it's crazy.
how you do it.
But-
So not possible.
So it's really, I think, one is cost prohibitive, but I think even from an environmental point of view, it would be devastating what we would do to that whole area, because the slope probably from the road up to the first piece of property there probably
9,
goes up
10 feet.
15, probably 15-ish feet by the time you get to the flat area. Wow. So that's what we would be doing. We'd be cutting a level spot and building a 12 to 13-foot high retaining wall.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it would be very ugly and very costly.
Pretty street too.
And
Yeah,
then just to
exactly.
maintain it would be a
Change the
problem
whole-
also. So, but we did tell them, I didn't tell them yet, but we did analyze all the sidewalks from Logan to Wickapeco. It's about 1,700 feet it's 3,500 feet. Of that, there's 1,775 feet that would have to be installed. There's 150 being replaced, and then the 1,625 is missing. So those we have to put in. At the discussion we had with the residents that were there, the handful, we told them the problem that we have is normally these sidewalks are put into an assessment district. So the town would have to assess the property owners with us to install that sidewalk. And they said, oh, we're okay with that.
Of course they are, there aren't.
Right, it was none of them were affected. But that's the first part of it. The real problem, though, is I told them that, Roselle is gonna be on our paving list in 5 or 6 years, and when I go to reprofile that, so I can get the drainage to work, I would have to reset all that sidewalk. So now all these people we assess today, if we did this, would get reassessed in 5 years. And of course, all of them said they have absolutely no problem with that either, they'll understand. I said, well, I can't sell that. So that's gonna be the rub of it if we put that sidewalk in, is, the assessment we do and then the new assessment we did in 5 to 7 years. The only way we can avoid doing it, and I didn't look at it, is if we push the sidewalk further away from the edge of the road there, so that it wasn't as impacted. But there's still gonna be some areas that are just so flat to get the water from the lot to the street, that has to be reprofiled, and that sidewalk's gonna be right in that way when we do that. So that's gonna be kind of a thing we're gonna have to discuss is, because some of those people won't be too happy getting double assessed for a sidewalk, especially with the cost lately. But the total cost to do that, if we put that all in, is $85,000.
How many?
$85,000 to put that 1,800 feet in.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and the assessments would probably be per lot. They're smaller lots there, so it's probably gonna be a couple $1,000s per lot. So, have to maybe bring that up next meeting, see what we wanna do. But I know we don't have the funding, so Ricky would have to find the funding.
Right, couldn't happen this
So it
time.
would probably be next year budget. Okay, the next thing I actually had was. Huh?
Both of those are closed session.
Oh, next, okay. I had my line drum one too low. That was the end of my
Done.
open session.
We're ready to go to closed session now.
Everybody else good?
Actually,
Unless anybody else got-
quick,
yeah, unless anybody else has-
couple quick ones. So,
kept well, I don't know who, there might be the whole council, might be Greg and everybody. So when the gentleman was here, I think it was last meeting, if not 2 meetings ago, to talk about the park, they were gonna, obviously, Mylan Terry Foundation was gonna donate the money, they were gonna put it in. So I asked the question, and I think he said it was a handicap park as opposed to an inclusive park.
Handicap accessible.
Correct. So, I don't know what it would take. I don't want to offend Mylan Terry. I don't want to offend the company that's putting it in. But I also want to try to keep everybody happy and make that park inclusive as opposed to just handicap. And since it's Green Acres, would we be willing to add some money to it so that they can take it from handicap to
What's
inclusive?
the cost differential? I think it was
No
pretty,
idea.
I think he said it was pretty big. Like they mentioned that at the presentation. It was like an exponential number for, but I don't remember the exact number.
I'll find
so-
out, we'll reach out to them and find
Okay.
out.
Yeah, plus I think we'd have to watch, and most likely
I
what
like
they
the
would do,
idea
they
of
would enlarge it, so you'd have some that were handicap accessible, some that were not. And the problem I have right now, I'm still waiting for them to give me the footprint of what they want to do before we expand it, because we kind of have a limited area we're trying to put.
Right, exactly.
So if that takes up that whole area, we might have to have a secondary area to utilize.
Okay.
But yeah, that's something that's kind of up in the air until they send me that footprint.
That's all for that.
All right. Whereas, Section 8 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, mentions exclusion of the public. This body is of the opinion that circumstances presently exist, Township of Ocean and Monmouth County, public shall be excluded from discussion and action hereon. Specified matters, the general nature of the subject matters, or C1, litigation, C2, personnel, and C3, litigation. All aye?
Aye.
Aye. We're closed.
Let's go.
All right, everybody.
Smalls.
We're going to call the meeting of June 9th, 2022 to order. Jesse, have the roll call, please.
Mayor Siciliano?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani?
Here.
Councilmember Achara?
Here.
Donlin?
Here.
Fisher?
Here.
Everybody please rise for a pledge of allegiance, and then please remain standing for a moment, a silent prayer thereafter, as we remember our longtime clerk, Virginia Bergeron, who passed recently. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on December 9th, 2021. There are 2 exits, one to my left, which will bring you out to the parking lot, and one to my right, which will bring you out to the front parking lot. If you have a cell phone, we ask that you turn it off and kindly make your calls outside in the building. Tonight, the only report we really have is that next Thursday, we're having another one of drive-in concert series. A lot of fun. The dynamic Joe Bonanno Band is going to be there entertaining us, and it's going to be a great time. Everybody show up. $10 a carload. You can't beat that. Can't beat it. Okay. We have on our agenda tonight, no, there's not going to be any council reports. So the purpose of the public portion is to solely ask questions, understand resolutions that appear on the agenda, not an occasion for a public hearing on an ordinance. All questions not related to an item on the agenda should be asked during the public comments portion at the conclusion of the meeting. Anybody in the public have anything about our resolutions? Now would be the time to state your name and address for the record. Oh, seeing and hearing no one. Someone offer the minutes and resolutions that appear on the agenda.
I'm going to offer the minutes and the resolutions.
Second.
I'll second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Napolitani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, tonight for individual action, vouchers in the amount of $1,334,756.99. Someone please offer.
I will offer the voucher list.
Second.
I'll second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Napolitani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Individual action 112. Authorize a confirmation and assessment for curbs, sidewalks, and driveway aprons along various roadways within the township in conjunction with ordinance 2274. Someone please offer.
I'll offer resolution 22-112.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Napolitani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. 22-113. Authorizing the cancellation of taxes for the 2020-2021 and refunding or crediting the tax overpayments resulting from New Jersey State Tax Court and Monmouth Tax Board judgments to the taxpayer. Someone please offer.
I'll offer resolution 22-113.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, 22-114, authorize the cancellation and refund of real estate taxes paid for the disabled veterans, Block 14012, Lot 2, Block 152, Lot 1.01, qualifier C6304. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-114.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. 22-115, authorizing refunds tax overpayments for the second quarter of 2022. Taxes to the following: Block 1.02, Lot 21.01, qualifier C1102, I'm sorry. Block 6, Lot 26, and also Block 65, Lot 5. And make sure there's not another one here. No, that's it. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-115.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, 22-116, authorizing subsequent and real estate taxes paid by lien holder be adjusted to remain as real estate taxes paid on the property tax account. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-116.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, 22-117, authorizing a professional service contract with ARH Associates for Ocean Glades preliminary investigation and redevelopment plan at a cost not to exceed $25,000. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-117.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, 22-118, accepting the 2022 Sustainable Jersey Small Grant funded by PSE&G Foundation in the amount of $2,000. We thank them for that. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-118.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, and 22-119, authorize the fireworks for the Italian American Association of the Township of Ocean for August 12th, 2022. Rain date would be August 13th or 14th. Someone please offer.
I'll offer 22-119.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Should I abstain as a member?
Which one is it?
He's a
You
board
know what?
member.
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain? Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Well, no, you know what?
I'm
The
a-
bottom line is, you're a member.
I'm a
you're
board
No,
member.
he's a board member. I'm
Okay,
not.
yeah.
Okay. Yes.
We'll have
You'll have
everybody abstaining.
Yeah.
So Donlin?
couple of
Yes.
times.
Fisher?
Yes.
Much of it.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Tonight for adoption we have several ordinances. The first one is 2387. Just would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 21 of the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance of the Township of Ocean entitled Solar Energy System.
Great. Someone please open the public hearing on 2387.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2387.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on 2387, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing or hearing no one, someone make a motion to close the ordinance on 2387.
I'd like to make a motion to
Public
close
hearing.
the public hearing on ordinance 2387.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Action please on 2387.
I'd like to move to adopt ordinance 2387 and publish according to law.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Next up, that ordinance has been moved. 2388. Jess, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2360 entitled An Ordinance Fixing Salaries and Compensation of Certain Offices, Positions, and Employees of the Township of Ocean.
All right. So please open the public hearing on 2388.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2388.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on 2388, step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Okay. Seeing or hearing no one, someone please make a motion to close 2388.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2388.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Action please on 2388.
I'd like to move to adopt ordinance 2388 and publish according to law.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, an ordinance has been moved. Next up, ordinance 2389. Jess, would you read the title, please?
An ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 21 of the Comprehensive Land Development Ordinance of the Township of Ocean entitled Electric Vehicle Supply / Service Equipment.
Great. Someone open a public hearing on 2389.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 2389.
Second.
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Anybody wishing to be heard on 2389, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Once again, seeing or hearing no one, someone make a motion to close 2389.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 2389.
Second?
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes. Action please on 2389.
I'd like to move to adopt ordinance 2389 and publish according to law.
Second?
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, and also for introduction, ordinance has been moved. For introduction, we have ordinance 2390. Jess, would you read the title?
An ordinance amending and supplementing ordinance number 2343 entitled, an ordinance amending the revised general ordinances of the Township of Ocean, 1965 relating to personnel policies, practices, and procedures.
Right, someone introduce 2390.
I'd like to move to introduce ordinance 2390.
Second?
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, and that'll have its hearing on June 23rd. Okay, anybody from the audience have anything? No? Well, thank you all for joining us. Anybody here? Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Achara?
Yes.
Donlin?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Naplatani?
Yes.
Siciliano?
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for joining us.